Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. A very good afternoon. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. I start in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And peace be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is Tirmizi Ashrafi from Association of Muslim Professionals. And I welcome you all in this wonderful session of employability training program on interview skills and techniques. I would now do a small presentation about AMP India Foundation. The India Foundation. AMP India Foundation is a not-for-profit organization registered under Section 8 of Companies Act 2013, Government of India, for providing voluntary social service to meet the needs of underprivileged individuals, that is, upliftment of the underserved and needy through educational and vocational training, employment support, medical relief, economic empowerment, student mentorships and guidance, employment assistance cell. We all are witnessing AIF's success as one of the most admirable national level NGOs striving for 3 E's: education, employment, and empowerment, keeping in mind AIF's core objective of supporting the underprivileged, promoting education, and creating economic empowerment. Our major EAC activities include job fairs, job drives, employability training programs in colleges, skill training, company tie-ups, candidate mobilization, skill development courses, job fairs. Job fairs is one of the flagship projects of AIF, and we have successfully organized 43 job fairs till date. Every job fair has a participation of minimum 50 companies and 2,000 plus candidates. Job drives. Job drives are similar to job fairs but are not organized on a much smaller scale compared to job fairs. In a job drive, we typically invite only up to 2 to 3 corporates who have specific openings and advertise their openings profiles in order to attract suitable candidates. Employability training programs. Employability training programs has been developed to assist job seekers find the right job at the right place at the right time and to become the right fit in a present-day modern organization. Our ETP trainers are seasoned professionals who have in-depth understanding of employability training and committed to investing their valuable time, resources, and knowledge in grooming the candidates. Skill training, company tie-ups, and candidate mobilization. AIF has partnered with reputed skill training companies like Tata Trust, Whirlpool, Tech Mahindra Foundation, etc. We have also arranged skill training melas in Mumbai by inviting around 20 skill training companies to hire and train unskilled candidates who could not pursue their higher studies after 10th or 12th standard. Our achievements: 43 plus job fairs, 9 online job fairs, 275 plus job drives, 6 online job drives, 220 plus employability training programs, 19 online ETPs, 100 plus mock interviews in colleges, 25,000 plus candidates placed in jobs, organized 6 career fests, benefited 150,000 plus students. A new initiative, empowerjobs.com, connecting right talent with right opportunity. Empowerjobs.com has launched on 6th December 2020. It's a unique job portal with comprehensive offerings introduced by AMP India Foundation for job seekers, especially those hit by COVID pandemic. Thank you very much. I will now introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Mohamed Hussain Manashia. Hussain Manashia is a senior technical program manager and cloud development and operations architect at Tata Consultancy Services, leading team of IT consultants on banking, insurance, and multi-cloud developments and operations project for many Fortune companies globally. So I will now welcome our expert speaker, Mr. Hussain Manashia, to please carry on with the session.
So good afternoon, everyone. So thanks again for joining the session. Thanks to Midi for giving the introduction about the AMP and I would say the excellent work that they're doing with the top-notch vision to help professionals throughout India. While the primary target audience is Muslim professionals, any course, and I think Timothy might have mentioned this in his presentation, any program we do, I would say most of the job drives and programs we do, the focus is to ensure that everyone benefits from it, including this session. I also know that there are a lot of other brothers from other faiths in it. So salams to everybody and good afternoon. We will begin the session. If you all have any questions as I'm going down, I know it's really difficult to hold off on your questions towards the end of the session. So this is going to be an approximately 45 minutes to an hour long session. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them on the chat. I promise you I'll go over the chat from the top if I'm not able to respond in the middle of it, and I'll answer the questions. In case if there's still some questions out there that I would not able to answer before the session ends, I'll ensure that I forward up my email address to you. So feel free to reach out to me, and I can probably answer some of the questions through emails. That will be it. Quick introduction about myself. I'm actually right now a senior program manager, IT technical program manager, and architect in the cloud and DevOps space. DevOps, for ones where DevOps is a new word, it's actually more of a merger of IT development and operations. So kind of together we work as DevOps. Those two fields have kind of merged to some extent because of the most important piece of automation. You must have heard about automation a lot. I think the automation that the IT technology did for the physical world in terms of robots and stuff, that IT automation has actually come and caught up to the actual IT world, the development, the software development we do. And these days we use a lot of automation and even in our piece of work, coding and testing and all of that. And that's what in short is called DevOps, development operations. In short. So yeah, so that's me. And I've worked for almost say 17 years in the IT field. I'm a BE computer science graduate, and I joined workforce in 2006. Basically, I've been lucky enough to be deployed across multiple countries for projects. Worked with a lot of big customers in the US, some in the Europe and other places. Enjoyed a lot in my work. And before I start off on the key topic of today, let me begin my screen share as I'm doing that. And some of y'all might see me looking up. That's because I have a larger, bigger monitor in front of me, and I have your names and your chat messages showing up on top. Sometimes I look up to see what's going on, so that's the reason I might not be looking straight into the video. So as I start, let me begin my screen share and tell y'all the topic of today. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we are able to see your screen.
Thank you. So there's Brother Mahbub Ali asks, when will the exam start? I don't think this is an exam, Brother Mahbub Ali. This is a session, employee training program session. who are targeting towards interview skills and techniques, right? Pretty much. There is no online exam that we are going to be holding in this session. So I don't know if things got a little confused in the messaging that might have come up to you. I apologize for that. Perfect. And basically, before we go into the interview skills and techniques, I'd like to start off saying that any job stream that you pick up, right? And if you have the option and you've got skills in different areas, ensure you pick the one in which you feel the most passionate. I'm sure all the senior professionals, any professional currently working for at least 4 or 5 years, they would all tell you the same thing, that when you do any work with the right amount of passion and spirit, you actually come out very successful. It doesn't matter really what you're doing. So that's the reality. I mean, that might be a theory. I personally have faced it firsthand, just because I have worked through different parts of my career with different job roles. There were some job roles that gave me more energy and that I was doing with more passion. There were some job roles that I was doing to ensure that I come out good and I deliver well on the expectations of the company. But the passion that is missing ends up impacting you in the long run. So if you get a chance, pick a job in which you are passionate about, where you want to wake up every day morning and say, what am I going to do different today? What am I going to do new today? And most importantly, what am I going to learn today? Because every single day you work, it's not only about what you work and you deliver, it's also about what you learn. So that's important. So passion has to come first before you pick up your right career. This is not a session where we're talking about career options. So I'm just going to come straight into the interview skills and techniques. And we have tried to keep it generic, not trying to tag it to a specific line like IT or business operations or BP or KPO operations and stuff like that, or sales. We just kept it generic. These are generic skills and techniques and set of do's and don'ts. All of that is going to be shared for any particular thing that comes up as you actually are working on the session. One sec. Just trying to figure out what the chat is. Just where this. Perfect. So as we start, first thing first, right? Your resume. Let me get this on a screen share mode. Might be probably better, have more visibility to you all. All right. So first things first is basically, like I said, your resume. There are a lot of good resources out there, and I'm going to start putting things on the chat. Do a little bit chat window. Just give me 1 second. I'm just figuring out my way through this chat mechanism. Do I do a lot of Zoom meetings? I don't do a lot of Zoom meetings with as many participants as you all have right now. So for your resumes and cover letters, just let me give you a brief about cover letters. So cover letters are just a small few bullets or a small paragraph that you send along with your resume. Resume, as you all know, is a document. It captures your all your little bit of your biodata. You don't have to put in a lot of information. In fact, you don't have to necessarily put in your father's name, mother's name, and all of that information in your resume. Addresses, the full addresses, those are all not required. Your name, your age, you don't even have to actually go and put your full date of birth. Those are all personal information. You don't have to share it out in the open. Your name, your age, what is your background, all your information, but your personal information, keep it minimal. Other than that, capture all the other information, mostly focused towards your skills, whether you are straight out of college, you are still in college, if you're trying to put a resume for a part-time job, or any other form of resume that you're doing, or you've studied up to a certain degree, whatever you've studied, what are the skills, what are you, and how those skills apply towards a particular job. Those are the things that you have to cover in your resume. Now, most importantly, the cover letter just covers the some basic aspects as to why you are applying towards the job. Why do you use a cover letter? You primarily use a cover letter when you come to you're putting your resume and you're dropping it in some place where they take physical resumes. Now I know over a period of time there is very few and far. Mostly you might be emailing your resumes or you might be putting up in job portals like Naukri.com, job monster and stuff. So when you do that, you ensure that your cover letters and your resumes do not have any grammatical or spelling errors. How do you ensure that? I'm just going to give you a product. It's called Grammarly. Just Google it. So Grammarly is a free product. They also have a paid version. It's pretty good. If you put in your text from your resume or a text from your cover letter or any email that you're typing up, that can actually call out the grammatical errors and spelling errors. Spelling errors, if you have a Microsoft Word or something of that sort, then you can even catch those in that particular format. But regardless, ensure you do a grammar and spell check on your documents and your cover letter content before you send it out. Second, your resume should always be tailored to your specific job, right? So, for example, let's say take my example. I work in IT, and if for some other reason I've decided that I want to go work in sales. Now, in IT, I might have done a lot of good work around development, applications, apps, and all of that. However, when I time to do sales, only the experience that I've actually done sales could be I might have as a manager selling I might be selling a product to a customer, selling a service, an IT service to a customer. Now, those are actually considered to be the specific skills for a job or the relevant experience. So do I have an experience to sell skills, to sell something like an IT product or something to the customer? That's important. That's what's called relevant experience. And that should be mentioned and highlighted. If you have lesser experience, it's okay to put other experiences also, but ensure that your relevant work experience is highlighted. Also do highlight your academic qualification. Very, very important. Clearly, where you studied, under which university, what's your percentage complete of your studies. All of that has to be mentioned from your 10th, your 12th, and your excuse me, your degree. Moving on, just remember this one important aspect. After you finish drafting your resume and your cover letter, ensure that you read it not just once, twice, maybe 2 or 3 times with the mindset of the person who's actually reading it. Because the person who's reading it, when you are reading it, you are reading your own stuff, and that's the only resume or cover letter in front of you. When a hiring manager or an HR of a company is reading that piece of information that you're putting out there as your resume or cover letter, they are reading hundreds of that over a period of time, maybe 100 a day. So the question that you have to ask yourself, how do you stand out? How are you going to highlight some of your skills, your work experience, or your passion towards something, or a project that you've done in college? How are you going to highlight all of that to ensure that when somebody looks at it, they feel that, yes, this is the right candidate. Let us bring him in or her in for the interview. That's the trick really that you have to learn. There are lots of trainings around it and lots of good YouTube videos around it as to how to ensure that your resume is picked up for an interview. Go through those, learn about that specific skill, and it's an important one to master. So moving on, what are the types of interviews? Now, interviews are of these types that you see on the screen. You have at times one-on-one interviews. You have a screening panel. Screening panel has 3 or 4, 5, 6 members. There are phone interviews, which is becoming more common today, phone and video interviews. And then there are group interviews where you are along with a group. And usually the group interviews do not happen in the first round, mostly. But sometimes there are group interviews where you, along with other candidates, are sitting in a group and having more of a discussion based on which the communication skills and other skills are kind of evaluated. But these are usually non-technical interviews. in group interviews. Those skills are evaluated, understood as how will you able to communicate with the group, and then you're taken to the next round. Sometimes there are tasks for technical interviews. If you're applying for a job which requires technical expertise, जहाँ पे actual काम करना होता है, you have to go in and do a particular task. I do a lot of these interviews actually. In IT, I actually give them a programming assignment. I ask them to program something, look at the output, look at the outcome, and then decide if he wants to go up to the next round. Video and Skype interviews, you are familiar with that. Now, a very important part, when you are invited for an interview, ensure you ask the employer as to what type of interview is it. That way you are prepared. If it's a video or a Skype interview, you want to ensure that you are in a good location. You have a decent internet bandwidth, right? Things like that, because they may ask you to turn your video on, and you should not be in the middle of, for example, in the middle of traffic, in the middle of road, because you did not plan for the interview properly, assuming it's going to be a phone call. So don't assume. Ask the interviewer, okay, this is the interview, this is the time, what type of interview is it? That's important. Now moving on to the pre-interview preparation. What can you do before you actually walk into the interview? That's a point from where you actually end up scoring an interview. Scoring an interview, when I say that, I mean, I have some questions. I'm just looking at them on the screen. I'll come back to that question in a bit about IT and career. I'll try to answer that question, Brother Shadab Faridi. So moving on, the interview preparation or pre-interview preparation goes like this. You start off and first find out more about the organization, the company. What are the company's values? What is the product? What do they sell? What are the service offerings? What is the latest news? Is the company been in the news recently for something good? It's also good to know if the company's been in the news for something that's not good. That way you don't at least bring that topic up in the discussion. So it's good for you to know about it, because they may ask you. They may even ask you as to, do you know this? Do you know that? Recently this happened. If it's something big, and if you get that information, just find out if you can find out about the interviewer. So if this interview has come to you through a friend, through a family member, or through some other mechanism, find out if you can find out a little bit about the interviewer. Who is it going to be? Now, if you know the name, run a search on Google, get to the LinkedIn page or any other page. Don't send a friend request or anything like that right away. That's a big no-no. But or a connect request, don't send any of that. Just take a look and see if you can understand about the interviewer, where he comes from, what is his background, what is his experience level. Is he a senior person? Is he more of a technical person? Things like that you will get to know once you look at the profile, public profile of the interviewer. And reach out to your network, reach out to your friends, your family, AMP team in this case. Find out if you can get any more advice and information about a particular job. Ensure that you have answers to at least a few questions that they may ask you in a typical interview like this. So from your experience of a previous interview, just see if you are able to plan for what kind of questions may come about. And we're going to discuss some of that in this session. Dress for the occasion. That goes without saying. That dress formally, keep it to basic stuff. Again, there's a slide talking specifically about dressing sense when it comes to interviews. I'll cover more of that, but dress decently, dress formally. Then you cannot go wrong there. Be on time, plan for the traffic, don't be late, right? So this is one very important thing. This is not a movie show that you can walk in late. It's okay to miss the ads, right? So it's an interview. If you're not on time, what is the guarantee the company or the interviewer has that when you actually get the job, you'll be on time? So that's very important. Always be, I would say, before time, not even on time. Be at least there 15 to 20 minutes before the interview time that has been given to you. So if there's any paperwork to be completed, any forms to be filled, those of things can be completed. Same way for online interviews also. Ensure that if there's a meeting link that's up to you, log in, ensure that you are actually logged in 5 minutes earlier. That way you plan for any internet is not working, laptop's battery ran out, or any other problems that may happen. all those things are taken care of before you actually the interview time starts. Minimize distractions, just like I've done with my phone, put it on silent. Don't let it disturb you. And if it's a physical interview, give a good handshake. There's a little bit about handshake part that I'm going to cover, but a smile is always the best thing, right? I mean, whether it's a physical interview or a virtual interview, always smile. Long back, there was a trainer of mine. I'm going to give this out to you all. She used to say that even if you are only on a phone call, and you can try this next time you're with somebody, or if you've already experienced it, great, put it on the chat. I'd like to hear about the experience. But if you are on a phone call and still if you are smiling, the other person on the other side can actually feel that you are in a good mood. That's the reality of a smile. The smile is evident even in just plain voice, even if your image, your video is not in front of the person. So smile and start your stuff. And that's basics about your pre-interview preparation. Talking about dressing sense, wearing dark dresses, dark suits for men. Wearing a sari salwar kameez for women. Don't have any visible body piercing. Tattoos visible, right? So if you have them, wear a dress where you can get them covered. Polished closed-toe dress shoes for all of you, just to keep it straight. Minimal jewelry and conservative hairstyle. Just keep it to the basics. Nothing fancy. No spikes. Like mohawks or anything that's crazy. Wear perfume. Always, it's good to wear the perfume. It's also sunnah of the Prophet. Wear perfume, but not too strong and not too much. So just keep it subtle. Be well groomed. Minimal makeup. Conservative, like I said, dresses. Nothing that's exposing anything. Always ensure that you are whatever you're wearing is well pressed, and most importantly, nothing too flashy. So the only thing that should be flashy for an interview should be you. So in the sense, you should have vibrant feeling. You should not be too scared. You should not have, I would say, when you get nervous, don't get too nervous and do things. We'll talk a little bit about the body language, but you should be the person who should be like nice and calm, whether it be a video interview, phone interview, in-person interview, walk-in, whatever. You be the person, you yourself are the person who your face and your body language should be the one that should be saying, I'm the right person for this job. That's how it should be. Other than that, you don't want to add on to that with wearing something that's fancy, not required at all. In fact, it works in the other way around. It works detrimental. How to shake hands. Now, I know I'm talking about COVID world, a post-COVID world, and these are kind of significantly reduced. But just in case you ever had to give a handshake, we're just going to run over this quick. Ensure you make a firm handshake, make eye contact, very important. Smile and basically do a handshake. I'm just going to go to details in that, and if you're going from a AC to non-AC or vice versa, it may be that your hands are a little wet because of the humidity. Please ensure that you have your kerchiefs to just wipe them with a tissue or a handkerchief so that your hands are dry. Body language. Now, you'll understand when I say body language in today's world, that also means over the video, right? Like just the way you're able to see my body language, you might be able to feel that, okay, this guy's confident, he knows what he's talking. So all that just does not come only because of my words. It's also because of my body language. Now, if only I was drooped like this and I was talking to you like this, then you might have sensed that, what is he doing? Is he going to be teaching us something or what, right? Because of the body language. So body language is always important. And as some of the statistics goes, almost that many number of 67% of hiring managers say that the biggest mistake is lack of eye contact. Now, eye contact happens in both video sessions as well as in-person sessions, so that's important. And 26% of the interviewees get rejected because they fidget too much. You could be fidgeting with your hair, or you could be fidgeting with something else, or maybe your fingers are kind of showing nervousness. All of that stuff is not good. You just have to be yourself, be calm. And weak handshake, when the world of physical handshakes used to be around, then a weak handshake also was this. All of these, I mean, in a simple word, if you were to put this, all the three things, lack of eye contact, thinking too much, weak handshake, failure to smile, all of this are signs of nervousness, and it shows lack of self-confidence. So, as I said, you start off with a smile, you start off with a positive thought process and confidence. That itself will cover most of these things. Some of you might have to practice these things just so that you ensure that you don't make a mistake when you get that golden opportunity of an interview. So ensure that you practice some of this with somebody around you, with friends, families, people even just beyond the friend circle, a friend's friend. If you can just say, hey, I'm going to do a mock interview, see if I'm doing good to this. These are good things to practice in general, not just for the interview. In general, I'm telling you, in today's world, body language and showing your confidence through your body language is very valuable, and it comes into great benefit in lots of places. Do's and don'ts. You know, carry only one item. Don't carry a big bag of things or a huge luggage with 2 or 3 laptops and stuff. Don't do that. Wear good shoes, polish them. Sit at an angle. What that means is, if the interviewer is like, for example, let's say you all are my interviewers and you are sitting right in front of me, I just don't want to go sit right like this up to you. It's okay to just sit like this, it's comfortable pose like this, where you are also comfortable, like just like looking up in the face. Just because I'm presenting, I'm looking up to you all. But in general interview, if there's another person or nothing, it's okay to sit in a relaxed position. Is the point. Be confident. I've explained that. The power pose. Google for that. Power pose. So I'm going to put that here. And I see some questions come up. I don't know why there are brothers asking about exam. There is no exam happening today. And I'll answer these questions, but power pose. So Google power pose. Understand what the power pose is for an interview. And try to practice that. Don't smile. I mean, smiling is good, but don't smile like a nervous smile. You know what I'm talking about. You might have seen it. And don't keep smiling all the time. Smile is to start. Smile is to say thank you when you exit. And don't hold yourself like this, holding your lip too tight, like as if you're really holding yourself back. Don't do that, because it makes it feel as if you're trying to hold back something where you want to say or something like that. So don't do that. Don't try to be very relaxed, like as if you are on the beach, as if you are on the Bahamas or Mauritius and enjoying. Don't be that way. Neither do you want to be like in a very stringent position, as if you are sitting in a police station's desk or jail. That doesn't have to be either way, right? Just be casual, just be normal. Sit back. It's okay to rest on the back. Be relaxed. Sit in the right position and go for it. As I mentioned, and I did it just now. Don't touch your face and hair. All these are signs of nervousness, except for when you're feeling really itchy, and that's okay, like a small itch, like I'm doing now. So yeah, otherwise don't keep touching your face and hand or any other part of your body, because those are all signs of nervousness. So that is that far regard. Now let me just cover up a few more slides, and then we'll be open up for question answers. How to answer your common questions. Most common question. And actually this actually starts up every time. Except for if, like I'm telling you, if I'm interviewing somebody who's already within my own company, then I don't ask a question. For every other time, we ask me about yourself. Be professional. Tell a story. Very important. So story, we as kids love stories. And even today, some of the senior professionals in my company, TCS, are going about training other people to tell stories, business stories better. Story is very important. Pick your story. If somebody's asking about yourself, just say something that goes like a simple storyline. Just don't go in the middle and about. So tell something that I started here, I did this, I did that, I studied this, I've gone through this, this is my experience, or this is what I'm passionate about. Give that story. Don't give it too long. Cut it between like maximum 2 minutes to 3 minutes is the tops. close it in that. So practice that to tell about yourself. Be concise, be specific, and most importantly, see before in the pre-interview preparation that we're talking about. This is one important thing. See if you can connect the story to the position. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. So when I went into my job interview, and I still remember that 14 years back for TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, IT job, and I'm an IT engineer, computer science. They asked me, why do you think, they tell me about yourself, and they asked me a question about why would you be the right candidate for the job. Now, I told them this. I said, I've wanted to learn computers and work on computers since I was in the seventh standard, or seventh grade, as we call it today. And I told them that I have so many things that I did that most of my team members did not. I mean, most of my say students along with me did not do. And I went and learned this. I also learned software. I learned hardware. I learned how to play around with the computer, a lot of stuff. And hence, I think I would be the right person for the job. So kind of just connected what I did in a storyline and gave it to them, and they felt positive about it. And here I stand, 14 years down, working for the company. So story is important. What are the top questions? I'm not going to go through each one of them, but just take a look at this. If you have your phones, take a screenshot. This is a good list of top questions to have. What do you know about this organization? And this is that all this is some of this. I would say you have to answer these questions, so this should be part of your pre-interview preparation. What do you know about the organization? Why do you want a job? Your situation where you did not meet your goals. What did you do? Things like that. Difficult problems that you face. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Very common question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? That answer should be based on your knowing about the organization, knowing about the position. What is the next position, right? So, example, if I'm starting off as a developer in IT, then my next position is, for example, to become a technical lead. If I'm starting out as a sales representative, then my next position is to become a sales manager. So, how do you see 5 years down, which is a good amount of time in a particular job role? I say, at this point, I want to be a sales manager. I want to have a team of sales representatives to be able to manage sales. Things like that. What if you're already working, they may ask you what your current managers would say your strengths and weaknesses are. Why should we give you the job and things like that. Most importantly, item number 9, excuse me, is do you like working in teams? Now, everybody knows organizations are teams. Everybody works in a group. So it's not just, and the answers to the question is not yes or no. Do you like working in a team? Yes. No. Everybody knows the answer is yes. Question is why. They may not be asking that question, but why do you think you are the right person to work in a team? How have you worked in a team environment? Have you done something together with a large group of people? Have you been successful? How were you able to be successful? Were you able to bring passion in the team? Those are the answers, right? So don't, if at all somebody asks you a question which can be answered what they call in a close-ended manner, like yes, no, true, false, don't try those answers. Maybe answer and then move on and expand on that because you don't want them to ask the question for you to answer to them. Most importantly, understand it's called the STAR method, your situation, your task, your action, your results. So put in a situation, if they ask you more about your previous job or the skill set around your why you are suitable for this job, you can even take your education experience in your college. Maybe you did a undergraduation, maybe the post graduation, maybe something in the school, you were in some leader position in the school. Talk about the situation. What were you given? What were you asked to do? What actual actions you took? And what were the results of those actions? So these are basically areas where you can prepare for yourself and you ensure that you can write them on your resume and be prepared to answer the questions around this. Again, top interview questions asked. And at the end of the interview, I'm not going to repeat the top questions asked the first part, but I'm going to talk about the second part. So what do you like most about working for this company? So this is the question that you are supposed to ask the interviewer, right? So because interviewers definitely from that company, right? So what do you like? What do you like? Why are you working for this company? Yes, I just want to know more. It's a sign of interest that you're interested in know more. You can skip that how it will be evaluated first 3 months. That's too specific, but you can ask as to why is the position vacant. Is it a new position? Is it completely like a brand new position? or you getting more, you need to hire more people because there are more positions opening up in this space? What is it? And what are the next steps for me? This is a very generic question. Don't specifically ask about what's the salary and all of that, especially not in the first and second rounds, because those are specifically not HR rounds mostly. The salaries are always discussed by the HR, the human resources team, and that's usually the third or the fourth round, not the first or second round, typically speaking. But if you have to ask, then there's no harm. We all work for, at the end of the day, a monthly paycheck. So there's no harm, but ensure that you know who you're asking to, because if you ask a question too early and too hard, it may even come across that you're really working only for money. There is no passion, there is no spirit that's driving you. You don't want to get that. And then answering tips, as mentioned, always maintain eye contact. We've been constantly saying that repeatedly. It's very important. Avoid using fillers such as basically, actually. So I've been using a lot of that in my session. I know that I have that habit. But in an interview, try to avoid them, because if you avoid them, that again shows your confidence. Smile, be courteous and professional, tell stories. Important. Stories are something that people can relate to, they can feel it, they can understand it. So a storyline is better than just giving bullet points. This A, B, C, D, not good enough. Story, A went to B said this, C said this, and then D ended up being the result of whatever we did. That seems to be better and absorbable and capturable. Never say this in an interview. Don't. Don't say that your current job is sucks. I mean, the job is not good. The manager is bad. It's totally unfair. Even if he is that way or she is that way, don't do that, because this is going to bring your potential down. Because it may come across that when you go to the new position, who knows that you may actually end up blaming. They don't know the reality, right? They don't know the truth. They don't know that you probably attend the truth. So they might say that, okay, you might end up blaming the other manager also and again leave the job. So that's not something you want to say. And also, it's also good not to mention very early. Again, I'm saying this. Don't mention it in the first and second round. Saying that, oh, you know what? This is one of the interviews I'm attending for fun. I have more interviews. So tomorrow I have another interview. Day after I have another interview. Don't say that, right? So just go through it. If they ask you, are you applying? Say, yeah, I hope to apply for the positions, but yeah, this is one interview which I really wanted to try to get a job for. Because what you need is an offer letter. Even if you want, some of us may want multiple offer letters in a hand and kind of pick and choose which company for which salary you want to go and work for. But you don't have to go and disclose all that information to others straight off the bat. Don't lie, but don't disclose upfront saying that, no, I got other jobs. So if they specifically ask you, do you have another offer letter? Then it's okay to say the truth, saying that, yes, I do. But I'm still trying to get and see if I can land into a better company. As simple as that, right? So it's always think about the company, a better job role, a better prospect, and not about I'm comparing salary to see who is going to pay me higher, even if that is your intention. So you get the point. Now, you have, okay. So don't mention this also, that if you have a person who works for the company, and if he has given you a lot of information, don't go and disclose all of that. If they ask you, do you know somebody? Then you can say, yes, I know the so-and-so person works here. It's a good thing. That's not a bad thing at all. But don't go and tell, oh, he said that this team is not good. He said that be careful about that particular person, about that team. Don't go do that work. None of that's supposed to come up. Even if you know all the information about the company, don't disclose it. If they ask you specifically, do you know somebody here? Yes, I know somebody here. And what did they tell you? All the things they said were positive. End of story. Move on. Biggest mistakes, having no questions. So when they ask you, do you have any questions? Yes, there are some questions. I mentioned in the past, there are some questions and you can definitely ask them. Turning up late, don't want to do that. Textbook answers. This is the reason I try to make it casual here. I did not give you specific answers. That if they ask A, say B. If they ask C, say D. I didn't say any of that. And I don't want you all to even pick up anything from the internet and just go and just kind of repeat or orate that answers. You come up with your own answers. Understand the process to come up with answers. Being arrogant, right? Being like overly confident. Like, if somebody's asking a question, let's say it's a technical question. I don't know this, but do you even need it? You don't even need this kind of work. That kind of question should not happen. I'm a technical person. If somebody's asking me, do you have experience in, say, A. I don't want to say, A, that's old technology. We don't need that anymore. Why are you even doing things with it? That's coming out as overconfident. You don't want to come out that way. So just come up and ensure that you are in your limits of confidence. You have to be confident, but within your limits. That's important. And most importantly, being unprepared. If you go and walk in straight into an interview without any preparation whatsoever, 99% chances are you will come out with an offer letter. As simple. Because being unprepared is no good answer. So moving on to the next part. Uh, Again, this is generally covering things up about start smart, scout the interview location if it's a physical location, and if it's a Zoom or anything, ensure you have all the required software on your machine. You have Skype call, then you have Skype, Zoom call, you have Zoom, all of that. And body language, say thank you. Wrapping up is very important. Say thank you. I really appreciate the time and effort you've taken to interview me. If they have given you some information, some important tips, like hey, the real answer is this or this is that. Say thank you for that again. Say thank you for helping me understand things better. I really appreciate it. And if they are willing to give you cards, collect the cards. And then finally follow up as with a thank you note to whatever email address or phone number or an SMS saying thank you for arranging for the interview, and say that we are looking forward to hearing back from you. Perfect. Okay. And these are your evaluation questions. So we want to continue having sessions like these. So the question for which you have to answer is what to expect and how to prepare for an interview. In that case, in this presentation that I do you think you've understood that? Do you understand what you expect and in how to go about preparing for an interview? If you strongly understand and you really think that this session added value, then that would be A. If you have no idea what I said, no clue whatsoever, and it ended up being a waste of your time, I really apologize if it ended up that way. It was never the intention. But if that's the case, then the E and the middle agree, disagree, strongly agree. You disagree, you get the point. So A is the highest rating that you can give this session. It's not just for me, for the team that prepared this content. This content was not completely put together by me. There was a team of professionals, of hiring managers who've done this for years and years, have come together and put this content. I'm coming up and presenting the content and exposing my skills and presenting my real life experience. So the evaluation answers you're going to give for this particular question, which you can put up on your chat. That would be, or maybe at the end of the session, there's a survey, wherever that's going to come up. I'm not sure. This is my first time I'm running this session. So wherever that comes up, A is the highest rating you can give, E is the lowest rating you can give. And please definitely give some rating that we can improve. And if you have any comments, any areas that you think we can improve on, specific parts, feel free to put them on the chat. So we definitely take the feedback and improve in those areas in sessions. There will be more attendees that will be going through these sessions. We want to impart the experience and the knowledge to everyone. So we'll kind of improve ourselves as we go forward. So with that, Association of Muslim Professionals, as Tirmidhi had already explained it in the past, and in the beginning of the session, both of us have spent time. You spent time, I've spent time. The professionals, the brothers, sisters who spend time on the documentation for this have spent time. And this is how we are giving back to the society. So if you would like to be part of this team and this revolution or this horizon that we actually take up to our professionals around us and help each other and help the others who need some effort and volunteering from us, this is the link, ampindia.org, AMP volunteer form. We'll also put that on the chat. So Tirmidhi, if you don't mind, can you put those links on the chat?
Sure, sir.
So that will be on the chat. You can click on that and give us our information, and then the team will reach out to you. There are a lot of programs. It doesn't have to be this specific employability training. There are lots of other programs happening in AMP, all great programs. Definitely looking forward for contribution for folks with your kind of energy levels. Please to reach out. And that's about the session. I'll go back now. Before I open up the whole road, I'll just go back and see some of the questions in the chat.
So thank you very much, sir. So I'll just read out the questions that the participants have written in the Q&A section, and then you answer it.
You're talking about the chat, right? Or is there any other way you got the questions?
Actually, the participants have written their questions in the Q&A section. Q&A section. Yes.
The,
Q&A section. Yes.
I got it.
So I'll read them one by one. You kindly answer the questions.
No, Tirumali, it's okay. I'll take it up. I'll read
Okay.
up and thanks.
Okay. No issues.
Okay. So, brother Shadab Faridi said, if a person has some fundamental knowledge of cloud and technical background, how should the person start his IT career and be selected in an interview? So this is a technical question, particularly to IT career. So, if I'm assuming when you say fundamental knowledge of cloud and technical background, which means you have certain skills, you might have a degree in somewhere into the IT field. So how should you kickstart? So most importantly for anybody and any technical, this is not just for computer science or IT. I mean any field. If you are in a technical domain, the best thing you can do is get some practical experience while you are waiting for an actual job. Job will give you practical experience. Job will actually give you practical experience. That's what a job is for. It's called on-the-job training. But if you have some bandwidth, today there are lots of open projects available across. Let me just stop my screen share. Lots of open projects across, and you can actually go ahead and start taking some areas like of technology, whatever you are passionate about. Maybe mobile apps. Maybe developing a website, maybe I don't know, man. I mean, today the world is so big. Maybe you want to build something on the blockchain. I just did that last weekend. There was a hackathon competition within my company, and for the first time, I actually ended up building an application on the blockchain, spending some 7-8 hours. But I was able to do it. So again, I know I have technical skills and I've worked in this field for 14 years. But I also had people who are doing it for the first time, like freshers, like who have just got like almost 6 months or 8 months of job experience, and they also did that. So the point is, pick up some of these common things that are available on the internet, some small projects, do them. That way you get some practical understanding, and then prepare for the interview. Interview preparation goes almost the same. Ensure that whatever role you're applying for, so if you're applying for a role as a Java developer, then you have to know the technical skills for Java development. Ensure you have the answers with you, you prepared. So this generic preparation and the generic schema of things that we mentioned, you ensure that you go into the specifics for each of your domain. I explained about sales. I gave an example of IT. Whatever be the domain, you have to ensure that you have your answers ready for the questions of that domain. That's the high level. If you want some more information, Brother Faridi, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my email on the chat, and we can take it from there. Will we be able to get the PDF of your presentation through emails? It was something asked by Anayatullah Shafir Rashid, brother. And I don't think so. But again, I'll let Tirumali answer that question. Tirumali, you want to answer that question?
Oh, so sure. We'll get back to that, the slide presentation, and we'll mail her. Just kindly put your email ID, and we'll mail it to you.
Okay. So you share your email ID, and then that will come back to you. Thanks, man. Thanks, brother. So what are the and I think Brother Saqib Hakim also has the same question. So the answer is that. Brother Mohamed Hussain says, what are the best steps to crack an interview? That's exactly what we explained. The best steps to crack an interview are following these set of guidelines. If you follow these guidelines, there is, other than anything that can happen, at the end of the day, the interview decision is not up to you or anybody else. It's the decision makers. But if you go through these guidelines, I can tell with a very high level of confidence that you will crack it. As long as you answer the technical questions correctly, right? So sometimes it's the technical interview and the technical questions do matter. But the generic ones, if you go through this, you become, when you do this way with confidence and you don't mess up and you are not nervous, the way you come across to the interviewer is you come across as a confident person. Even if you've answered some of the technical questions incorrectly, at the end of the day, these things, you being employability, is not completely based on technical knowledge. Believe me, it's good to have technical knowledge, but your employability is based on a lot of factors. And I'm telling you this one thing. I'll tell you what happened with me on my interview with TCS. Different rounds, right? I give one of the previous example I gave you was one round. I'll give you another example, almost towards the end. I was asked, and that interview was in Mumbai. The interview that happened was in Mumbai, in a college, and I was a fresher. I didn't have any previous experience. They asked me, "What if I give you a posting, a job posting in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, in Madras, back then Chennai? So what if I give you a job posting in Chennai?" And they also asked me, "What if I give you a job posting in Kolkata?" So you know how I answered that question. I said, "See, here's this. I am a Gujarati. I was born and brought up in Chennai. I live in Mumbai right now. I can speak Hindi, I can speak Urdu, I can speak Gujarati, and I can speak Tamil. These are the 4 languages I speak. All of this was on my resume anyways. But I just told them, this is what it is. So it doesn't matter to me. You post me anywhere in India and I'll be fine." That's exactly how I answered them. And the reply I got was this: "I think you will be an asset for the company." That's what they took back. So what it means is the way you answer your question and how you put it up there. See, end of the day, they can still take you in and post you anywhere if they want. It's up to you to accept the offer or not. That's your choice. And that's how TCS, I knew, already works. It's not in their hands. It's not in my hands. They just wanted to know how flexible the person is. So always, whenever somebody asks you a question, don't close your vision and answer that to that question. Open up and see what the person is asking for. Be casual. And if you are not sure, it's always okay to ask the person, say, "I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat it?" So understand the question correctly and answer. I think those are the key elements that you can take to answer the question. And then was that how to discuss Amir Ali, Abbas Ali, brother, how to discuss salary hike when you're joining a new company. So I'm assuming the question is more about salary hike from what is your current salary to how will you, basically get a higher hike when you move on to the new company. So to answer that question, it is always first thing is you don't want to bring that in the first interview, Badra Basari. You want to Ramil. You don't want to bring it in the first round, but eventually you want to bring that up that the other company was giving me this much, and this was my annual package, and I am expecting based on the market standard that I get at least this much hike. And first, but I would always say let's see if we can get their particular thing I'm sorry. See if you can first understand from them as to how much they're going to offer you. It's also okay to get the offer letter which has the salary hike, and then go back and negotiate saying that, hey, this is not enough a hike. If you really want me, then you have to basically increase the amount. Those are good discussions to have, but the team or the person that you are talking about salary should be the HR and not a technical person. A person like me, for example, if you talk about salary to me, I don't care, because I mean I'm a tech. When I go on interview panels, I'm the technical expert. I'm the project expert. I will not be answering the question as to how much the TCS is going to give you. I don't even know honestly how much TCS is going to end up paying you when you get into the job offer. So that's why ask the question to the HR, and it's always a good discussion to have and do have the discussion. If someone is going for, I hope that answers the question. And then if someone is going for an interview for an entry level of job, but the interview asks something advanced level, what to do? Excellent question. I love the question. That brings up the topic. The answer is this. I know this much. Don't ever say I don't know. Full stop. That's not how you answer the question. So just say, I don't know that, but I know this. And I am able to learn fast. I hope all of you are able to learn fast, right? Because that's important. The most important skill set that you can learn is how to learn, right? And learn fast. So tell them, I know how to learn fast. So I'm confident if I'm given the job, I can always go from here, which this much I know A, step A. I can go from A to B. Once I'm given the job, as part of the learning, I can do that. That's not a problem. I know. So that's how you should answer something that's, you know, the basics. They're asking something advanced. You don't know the answer. Don't blabber. Don't give the wrong answer wantedly. That's not a good idea. You don't know something, you say you don't know. But you can always append and say, I don't know this, but I know this, and I'm confident that I can learn this, given the chance. Can you give us a proper answer for the word domain? So when I say a domain, it actually means a area of business in most common sense. Domain, like banking domain, we talk about manufacturing domain. We talk about, I would say, e-commerce. We're talking about e-commerce domain. This is what we typically call domain, like different areas in which businesses run. And naturally, when we apply for a job, we apply for a job for a business, for a company. So domain basically means different areas. IT domain, banking domain, say e-commerce domain, and delivery domain, manufacturing domain. These are different domains. That answers the question. And do we get the PPT? Answer is send an email to Trimidi, and that will come through.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. The session was wonderful. And, thank you very much for your precious time, sir, and for your efforts. So now we'll end the session here.